Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Charlie Newton, and welcome to Splash Live Studio. We are so excited to be here today. For my Splash students and even the new students, I want you to know that we are so happy that you decided to join us for art class today. So this is our first live stream, and we are so excited about the things that we are going to do. For my students, for my advanced students who usually would meet here in the studio on Saturday, I want you to be very patient with us as we try to catch up on some things, okay? And so today we are going to talk about balance. So you're going to need a few things. First thing I want you to do is I want you to get out your pencils. Get out your pencils. And the Splash students, you would have a bag of pencils, art pencils, and you're going to look for a H pencil. It may say HB, it may say 2H. I'm using a 2H. I'm going to hold that close to the camera to see if you can see that. Can you see that? Anyway, get a 2H pencil. We're going to need a pencil. If you don't have a drawing pencil, just use any pencil. A 2B pencil, the type that you use in school, will work. You're also going to need some paper, and you're going to need some watercolor paper or mixed media paper too. So get out your mixed media pad because we're going to paint. You're going to need a tin of watercolors, brushes, and a glass of water or a jar of water. You're going to also need a rag or paper towels. And when I start painting, I'll get the paper towel. But we're going to paint later. We're going to draw first. So we're going to talk about balance. So I'm going to turn around to my desk and we'll get started. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is balance. You don't have to write this down, but you can write this down on a scrap sheet of paper if you like. If you like, you can get a scrap sheet of paper. We're going to talk about balance. So important, balance in making a work of art. We're going to talk about 3 types of balance: symmetrical, asymmetrical, and radial. And my wife, Iantha, who's always in the studio with me, is filming. So if I misspell anything, let me know. All right. And if I miss anything, let me know. So, so we're talking about balance. We're going to mention symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance, and radial balance. First, I want you to get a scrap sheet of paper because we're going to do a little practice work first before we make our picture. Oh, let me give you another word. Using balance, you're going to make an abstract picture. An abstract painting in watercolors. Okay, let's put this aside. For Splash students, also you can get out your circles. This is a circle template, and for those who find it hard to make circles, you can use this template. Now, what we would like for you to do eventually is to make circles on your own. If you don't have a template, You could use a glass, or I'm going to use this roll of tape, see? You can use a roll of tape. And what I do is I press my pencil up against the tape. And I'll make a circle. Or you can use a glass. Let me reach over here and get this glass. Or a cup. Now for you younger students, younger artists, because I think you are all artists. You're not just students, you're artists. You can use a cup. And make sure that the pencil point is pressing against the rim of the cup constantly. And you have to get used to this. Don't hold the pencil tight. Don't hold the pencil too tightly. Hold the pencil very softly. Like that, like so. It's okay if you mess up. We're just learning, okay? We're learning how to make circles. We're just practicing. All of this is practice now. Now I'm going to try to do the smaller rim of the cup. Notice I have to try to get my arm out of the way. So I'll start on one side. Then I have to go all the way around. I keep the pencil lead pressed against the cup. That's how you make a circle. Now, eventually you will practice making circles without cups. And you notice that these circles don't look as good as this, as the ones I used with the templates. If you're using a template, it's the same idea. You just press the pencil lead up against the rim or the edge or the rim of the template, and you can make a perfect circle. This is just practice. So we will be using the shape of a circle, the form circle, for our painting, which we will start later. So I want to talk a little bit about balance again. Symmetrical balance is basically, say you have a sheet of paper. Now, when I lay my paper this way, horizontal, this is called, we're going to refer to this as landscape. So in the future, if you're wondering which way the paper should go, if I say landscape, that's the long way, the horizontal way. You see? Can you see that? And the reason why artists refer to this as landscape is because if I wanted to paint a picture of the outdoors or trees and mountains and sky and clouds and birds, I might want a panoramic view. That's a landscape view, a long view. And we call that landscape. If I turn my paper this way, we call that portrait. Portrait. So these are just some terms that artists use. So if I say lay your paper portrait way, you'll turn it this way, perpendicular, like this. You know, it's the tall side up, like that. That would be portrait. So whenever you get ready to draw or paint anything, abstract or realistic art, you want to decide which way the paper is going to lay. So for our needs, we'll just lay the paper landscape way right now. You're not drawing yet. I just want you to see some things, because what I'm talking about now will inform you and help you get some ideas about when we start drawing and making our painting. We're going to make a watercolor painting, as I stated before. So first, let's talk a little bit about symmetrical balance. Symmetry, mainly what it means is that we're imagining that there's an invisible line going down the center of the paper or canvas, And whatever is on the left side of the canvas, a similar size shape is going to be on the right side. It's like a mirror image. If I had say a rectangle here, I might put a rectangle on the right side as well. So I like to think in terms of mirror images right now. Whatever is on the right side is balanced by what's on the left side of the paper. So if I drew a straight line here, I might do it like that. Now these shapes don't have to even be perfect, but you can see it feels sort of balanced, almost like a mirror image. And that's what we're going to think about when we think about symmetry, symmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance is a little bit different, and we're going to be using that today. You'll be using that with your art. I want you to think about asymmetrical. It means it's not quite balanced. I may have a shape, and I'm going to use my circles to show you this. I may have a large circle on the left side of my paper, but I'm going to use two smaller circles to try to balance this one large circle. It's taking up a similar or almost the same amount of area or space, so it begins to balance. These two smaller circles begin to balance that larger circle. You don't have to always balance things, but you should know if things are not balanced. You should know if your shapes are not balanced. So it's your decision whether you want to use this type of balance or not. Now I'm going to put a large circle here, and so I may need several small circles. Does this circle balance that circle? Do they seem to take up the same amount of area or space? What do you think? Let me add another circle. Will these two circles balance this large circle here? Yes or no? Let's add another one. Is it balanced now? No, I don't think so. Now it's getting close. So when I'm looking at shapes, any shapes, I'm just trying to relax my mind and I understand that I don't know what I'm doing because I'm being creative. Now I'm going to put another circle in. It's getting close now. I think it's close to being balanced. Some of you may say, okay, it's balanced now. What do you think? Is it balanced yet? It may be, it may not be. There's no right answer and no wrong answer. Well, almost no wrong answer. Now, what does it look like to you? Does it look balanced? Now, it's very close, and the way I see it is very close to being balanced now. So you may think that we need another circle. You may think that we have too many circles. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. But now we're beginning to be creative. Now, when you start drawing, don't be hard on yourself if you can't make perfect circles. It takes time to make perfect circles, okay? Even with a template, even with a cup, It's going to take time for you to get used to it, a lot of time. So the idea is that you're going to work on these techniques that I'm showing you until you can get it. After this class is over, later on today or tomorrow or the next day, you can work on drawing circles. And just once you learn how to draw circles with a cup or any type of object, then I want you to work on drawing circles just with your own hand. And I want you to know that in our body, there are many circles. The joints, most joints move in circles. Like my wrist joint will move in a circle. I drew this circle with my wrist. So it's not as good as the template, of course, but it's a circle. So you have to practice, okay? So now I want to talk about radial balance, which we don't like to use radial balance that much. Radial means it's round, to help you remember. It's round. So radial balance is kind of like if you was drawing the sun and you had rays going out like this. We would call that radial balance. It's round, the eye goes to the center, and then the eye radiates away from the center in a circular manner. So this is all about the way we see things. So the difference in an artist and an average person is the average person will look at an object, but the artist will see the object. And by seeing, I mean that we will think about that it has height, it has depth, it has length, it has width, it has meaning. You know, so it's really a thinking process. So, very good. Now comes the fun part. You're going to make a picture using either symmetrical, asymmetrical, or radial balance. Your picture is not going to look like my picture because you're going to make the decisions about where everything goes. The picture is going to be abstract in that we're just going to use the circle as our form, as our shape. The object in the picture is going to be circles. And you can use as many or as few circles that you want to. You can overlap circles if you want to. Let me show you what I mean by overlap. So if I draw a circle, now kids, remember when you're drawing the circle, when you're holding the cup or the template, don't let the cup move. So if my hand is too light on this cup and I drew the circle and the cup moved, then we won't have a good circle, will we? Now I'm going to draw another circle that's going to overlap the first one that I drew. Okay? So since this is overlapped, when I paint this, say I may paint this area one color, maybe that's white. I may paint this one another color, black, even though black and white are not colors, but that's another discussion. And then the middle may be gray. And so when you paint your circles, I want you to take the time to make it very neat. Take your time, okay? And we have plenty time for you to do that. So get your template. If you are one of my students already and you picked up your pack, in your packet, you have templates just like this. If you're watching and you don't have a template, find a glass or a cup, something round, tape. You can use a top, anything to make circles with. And so you can have your paper either portrait or landscape way. That's your decision. Okay, are you ready? All right. Okay. Now you can use whatever size circles you want to. The first step is to draw the circles. Now, my advice, do not draw small circles because they are very difficult to paint. Use larger shapes, larger circles, okay? And think about the type of balance you want it to have. Radial or symmetrical or asymmetrical balance. It's up to you. Now, most of the times, kids' art look better than mine, so don't do what I'm doing. Make your own picture. It's your own expression. Are you drawing the circles now? Now, right now, I don't have much in my mind, so I don't think about the type of balance that I want to use when I'm making my paintings. I don't think of the balance first. I just balance the picture as I'm making it. By the way, I'm going to make a circle that's going to run out the paper, fall off the edge like that. It's a good thing to imagine sometimes objects moving off the paper and not try to just keep everything inside the border of the paper. When you do that, you cause what we call a halo effect, or you frame the picture without meaning to. So I like for things to run off the paper because now it forces my eye to go that way. Now I want my eye to come back into the paper, onto the paper. And so I put that circle there, so even though my eye went there, now I have a place for my eye to come back in. So I'm thinking about things like that. I'm thinking about how is my eye moving around. And for apprentice artists and students, this is something that grows on you after years. It feels right. When you look at it, if it feels balanced, more than likely it is. But if you look at your picture and something's off, check to see if it's balanced or not. And later on in other classes, we will talk about composition and things like that. But right now, the most important thing is that it looks okay to you. The way you see things is important because you are unique and you are special, and nobody can do art quite like you. So everybody's picture will look different. Your picture will not look like mine. Okay. So you see, I have some circles here, and my intuition tells me to stop because, now look, I made a mistake here on this circle. You see how the template moved? But I don't care. I'm going to paint it anyway. Mistakes are okay, so don't say, I can't do this, oh, I can't. You don't know what you can do. You can do all things. Just work on it a little bit. You can do this. It just takes a little practice. Practice makes perfect, so don't give up. And since we're going to paint this, you can actually fix things. Notice with these drawing pencils, I don't have erasers. And those of you who've taken classes from me before, you know that I don't like to use erasers. Now, in your packet, there is an art gum that looks like this. But I prefer that you don't erase because it's good to see mistakes. Let me make a mistake that's easy to see now. I'm going to just make a mistake. Man, that's not a good looking circle, is it? Well, if I can't see this mistake, I won't know the difference between a decent circle and one like this. Now, since the artist in me is coming out, and if I made this mistake, I think I want another one of those somewhere else. I want to use symmetry now to balance off this different way of drawing. So I'm putting another one over here. I still need, it's not balanced. I threw everything out of whack when I did that. So now, by putting similar shapes, I've created some symmetry to throw this picture back into balance now. So the way you draw can throw your picture out of balance as well. Now, actually, these little weird shapes make this picture a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to do something else. What is it? Somebody asked. It's art. If anybody asks you what your picture is you're making, it's art. It's your personal creative expression. And it's wonderful because nobody can draw exactly like you. You are unique. So as long as you like it, that's all that matters. Okay? It's art, is what it is. Now we're going to start painting. So you need some water. I wonder if we can get a close-up of this side here. You're going to need a jar of water for the paints, and you may need a bottle for you. You need brushes. We're going to use a wide brush. This type of brush is called, can they see this? Oh, this type of brush is called a filbert. I'm sorry, a bright. And we're going to need a round brush. It's kind of pointed. The bright looks like a square. Okay? And this is called a round brush. These are the only two brushes that you need. Now, the main thing we need to remember is to keep the paints clean. So you want to keep the colors clean. I have some dried up paint here. Get that out of the way. You don't want to mix the colors. So each time you dip your brush into the paint, when you change colors, you make sure you clean your brush. And you clean your brush by shaking it off in the water, pat it dry with a paper towel. Then you can change colors. So see, I got some orange on my brush here. You have to be very tentative to what you're doing. Very attentive, rather, to what you're doing. And tentative about how you do it. So when I begin to paint, I'm taking my time. You have to calm your mind down. Take your time. No rush. Make sure you're not rushing. So, and you have to take control of everything. Your brush, how much paint is in the brush and everything. So I suggest that you start with a light color and a wide brush. And so we're going to go back over here to the picture. And I'm going to dip my brush into the water. Let's see. Hey, Rachel, Terry, Greg, Rochelle, thanks for watching. Vanda, thanks for watching. Thanks, Dee, for watching. Joe, thanks for watching. Oh, Alejandro, thanks for watching. This may seem not so. This may seem very simple to Isabella Alejandro, but she can use this as well. So first I put water on my brush. I'm going to dip it into the yellow. I suggest doing, in the beginning, using one color at a time, to start off using one color at a time. So since these are watercolors, the water will soften the paint, and then the paint will soak into the brush. You always want to load your brush with paint when painting in any type of medium, watercolors, acrylics, oils, ink, tempera. Load your brush up. I'm going to paint the background. Now you don't have to start with yellow, but start with a light color. Now watch how slow I'm going. See, I'm looking at the edge of my brush, how it hits or bumps up against my pencil line. See how I'm taking my time? Start painting. You can start painting too. Use any color you want to. So you can start, and you're going to paint your picture your way. And I hope that you will message me pictures of your art when you finish it. Make sure you message me pictures. You can ask any questions that you want to. Now, actually, any age can use these techniques. Hey, Rachel, Carla. Always remember to take your time. If you're not finished by the time this live cast ends, just continue painting. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you can make some happy mistakes, as an artist has been known to say. All mistakes we can learn from, just like in life. Once you see your mistakes, you try to do it different the next time. Also, you should see what you really like about what you're doing. Now, for some reason, I got some blue in my paintbrush because I have a wide brush. I got a little blue or green, and I noticed it on my paper. So if I stop now and clean it and clean out my brush, I'm going to shake my brush in the water. You can hear the water. Clean my brush. Then I can start again. You have to be careful. These paints, these colors are not very clean. A student was using this one, and I decided to use this tray just just for this demonstration. So let's talk a little bit about abstract painting. Let me mention this. Contemporary art is selling today for, and this is for the parents, hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, some living artists are actually selling their art for hundreds of millions of dollars at auctions. So the fine art market is the only market that hasn't been affected by anything, because people are always going to want beauty. And with art, you get a chance to express who you are. That's what's so wonderful about it. So this abstract picture is, an abstract picture doesn't have to be about anything, but it can be emotional. It could be about feelings or emotions, color, shapes, process. It could be about life, the way you live your life. You like to live your life smiling. Some people can't smile, it seems. but the colors that you use or the shape that you use, like for instance, yellow for me reminds me of the summer, the sun. For me, yellow is a happy color. Orange is too, so I'm thinking I may use some orange next. So right now, I'm putting what's called a wash on the paper. When we talk more about watercolor paintings, I'll explain to you what a wash is. But right now, I just want you to paint and have fun. So what you could do, and I don't really need my blow dryer. I'll use a hair dryer sometimes. If I wanted this paint to dry before I started to do something else, I would use a hair dryer and I would let this dry. I would dry this first before I continued. But what I want to do is play. You don't have to do this. I just want to show you how you can play with this. I'm going to do what's called a overlay or a glaze. Since we was talking about orange. By the way, what two colors make orange? Anybody know? Have to clean my hand. I can really get messy when I paint. So some people are very neat, some people are messy. I'm very messy. So I'm trying to be neat now. I'm still using a wide brush. I'm going to add some red to this and see what happens. Okay, my red is pretty dirty, so I'm going to clean my red out. What's going to happen when I add red? Actually, this paint is drying pretty fast. Believe it or not, I'm still thinking about balance as I'm adding this red. Can you see how this is looking more like orange? This time I put a lot of red on top of dry yellow, so it's going to remain red. Can you tell the difference between this red and this one? One is more orange. So all of these live feeds are practice. The more you paint, the better you get. Remember, your picture don't have to look like mine. So I use a wide brush for the broad areas, and I'm going to use a round brush for the small areas. So right now I'm just moving the paint around because it's wet. Watercolors should look wet in order for it to be a good watercolor painting. It should look like water. Maybe next week we will do a landscape, something more realistic so that you can see more of what I mean about that. Oh, by the way, we have a class on Tuesday and Thursday at 5. Usually Tuesday and Thursdays are for the younger students, and Saturday usually is for the more advanced students, older and more advanced. Try to keep everything neat, okay? So I'm going to spread this red. This red here is too heavy. I don't like it, so I'm going to spread it out a little bit. You can also go back with just water in your brush. I've just put water in my brush, no paint, and because I want to move some paint around, and that will move the paint around. Just play with it. All this is play. And sometimes you come out with good things. Actually, most of my paintings that I do during the course of the year, if I do 30 paintings, maybe 5 of them are good. But I have fun doing all the rest. I need to get some more paper towels. I'll just keep it over here. So it's a better idea that when you are painting to do the background first. And then do the foreground, or do large areas first and do small details last. I'm going to say that again. Do large areas first and paint small detailed areas last. That's in drawing or painting. It makes it so much easier. You don't have to do it that way, but if you are a beginner, if you're still learning, I suggest that you paint larger shapes first and smaller shapes last. I also suggest that you use one color at a time. When you get used to using paints, be it watercolors or acrylics or what have you, then you can just paint fast, and you can mix the colors up any kind of way you want to. But I suggest right now, for our purposes, use one color at a time. Also, it will help you to finish the picture on time. I have no idea of what colors I want to use now. Anybody have any suggestions? So I think I'm going to, for some reason, I keep looking at that purple, but I don't want a lot of purple. So I'm going to see if that works. And those weird shapes, I'm going to put some purple in the weird shapes. I'm just drawing lines now. I'm just tracing line. So in your art, you're going to make decisions. Your decisions will be different from my decisions because we are all individuals. We don't think the same. We don't think alike, and that's what makes it wonderful to be a human being, is that we are all different. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as is. And since I happen to like blue, I'm going to paint some of my circles blue, I think. A couple of them. Right now, I'm using thin washes. I don't want it solid for some reason. You could make it solid if you want to. You can make yours solid. What I mean by solid, I mean more opaque. And the way you do that is you have less water in the brush. I'll demonstrate. So notice how I'm going to use my hand to prop this other hand. This brush could be better. Those guys who I gave supplies to, you have better brushes, I think, than I do. See how darker that is? I have less water and more paint in my brush. It's the same color as that one, but less water. So the more water you use, the thinner the paint is going to be. I don't want to use too many different colors on this. I think I'm going to use a violet. And those are the only colors that I'm going to use. If you use too many colors, then your art gets too busy. By the way, you'll notice that your watercolors don't have white in it. And it's rare to have white in watercolor tins. It's because we use the white of the paper as our white. Notice, see how much water I put in my brush now? It's the same color, but we have 3 different values. Now I have a lot of paint in the brush now. See how dark that is? Now I have more water in the brush. Too much, not enough water. So I just clean all the paint off my brush, and I'm going back, and I'm just going to spread the paint that's already here. Wow. You got that? This is looking good. You have to compliment yourself every now and then. I think I'm going to leave these weird shapes white on the inside. A little more blue. Now I just need some light shapes. So a lot of water in the brush, less paint. I keep shaking. If I have too much paint in my brush, I just shake my brush in the water. Take all the paint off, and then go back and spread the paint that's already on the paper. Okay, I kind of like how this is looking. I may leave the rest of this white, I don't know. You can overwork these things. And I don't want to overwork this. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave this, and then I'm going to put my name. Now this is something, this is the most important thing that an artist must learn to do, and that's to put your name on your paper. Your name and your age. I'm not putting my age. Charlie Newton. I put my name. Usually the lower right-hand corner or lower left-hand corner. And put your age and be proud of your work. Okay. So this has been an abstract painting. And I want to thank you for watching. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to everybody. And I want you guys to keep working and have fun painting. Until next time.